Gan Chin Soon, a 16 years MDRT with 3 years Court of the Table qualification. He will be sharing the topic, Sale Idea that Propel You Towards MDRT.
Good morning, everybody. Now, I'm going to share with you 3 powerful sales ideas today on how to get you to MDRT by December, if not earlier. But before I start, I need you to do something to maximize your learning. Very simple. Take out your pen and notebook. I will share with you 3 powerful ideas. The first idea is talking to breadwinners. How to get them to discover why they need to buy more insurance instead of trying to sell them more insurance. Let me repeat that again. How to get people, especially breadwinners, on why I need to buy more instead of you as an agent trying to sell them more. And the second idea is during this COVID crisis, people say that I need to keep my money in the bank for flexibility for emergency. How can you get your clients to park their money long-term into a long-term savings and investment program for their retirement and education in times of uncertainty? And the third idea, almost all the MDRTs, COTs, or TOTs I know of, they work very well with business owners. So the third idea is how to share a powerful idea on business owners to share a concept on business insurance. So if you are ready for these 3 ideas, I need you to stay with me for the next 30 minutes. Don't tune into the next channel. Stay with me, okay? So let's get the ball rolling. And if you love today's ideas, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Gan Chin Soon. The ideas are on YouTube. So let's start on the first idea. Ideas on breadwinners. Now, before I start, let's talk about what most agents face when they talk to clients. What most agents face is when they talk to a client, they are very focused on product selling. They are taking their company's so-called best product, going to the client and says that why you need to buy this product. But what most agents, they are not well trained is how to share powerful concepts to get the client to discover more about themselves, about their family. And another key strategy is most agents, they need to learn how to ask disturbing questions. Now, what's a disturbing question? It's a question that when you ask the client, and this question disturbs the mind so much, if you walk away without providing a solution, the client cannot sleep in peace. So the MDRTs, COTs, and TOTs I know of, they are masters in concept sharing to open up the client's mind about themselves and their family, and they are masters in asking disturbing questions. So let's first share the first concept, what I call the 4 levels of lifestyle. Now, this is how I would start the sharing. This is a breadwinner. He has got a wife and beautiful kids. And I'll say, Mr. Prospect, can I just take 5 minutes to share with you an idea called the 4 levels of lifestyle? Sure. Okay, go ahead. Now, in Malaysia, there are generally 4 levels of lifestyle. The first is the level of financial security. Now, most of the Malaysians, they don't have high income. They are earning just enough to, say, rent a place, provide basic schooling for the kids, okay, and they just get by, not much savings. The next level is where most of my clients are, which is at the level of financial independence. They've got good income. And because they've got good income, they can save to buy a house. They can save up for their children's education to send them to a private university. Sometimes they bring their family for a nice makan at the restaurants, or even yearly, before the MCO, they bring them for a yearly holiday. So that's where most of my clients are. And there is a small group of Malaysians. They're at the level of financial freedom. Now, what's financial freedom? It is having the luxury, knowing that I have built up enough wealth that I no longer need to work for the rest of my life because the wealth I have created is enough to last me and my family for the rest of their life. Now, wouldn't that be fantastic if we can reach financial freedom, Mr. Prospect? Yeah, I suppose so. Now, and Mr. Prospect, where do you think you and your family are right now? Well, I think probably somewhere between security and independence. Fantastic, Mr. Prospect. That is where most of my clients, including me, are right at now. And Mr. Prospect, would you agree that you are working very hard to bring your family one day to the level of financial freedom? Yes, I guess so. Mr. Prospect, there is another level that we have to talk about. That is called the level of poverty. Now, there are some Malaysians out there, unfortunately, they lost their income. And they are struggling to even provide for the basic things in life, like food, accommodation. And Mr. Prospect, what worries me the most is that some of these families who are in poverty, they used to be at the level of financial security or independence. But overnight, something happened to the breadwinner, and the family dropped to the level of poverty. Now, Mr. Prospect, what do you think are the things in life that can cause a family to lose their security or independence overnight? Well, I'm not sure. Maybe an accident or sickness? Yes, you're right, Mr. Prospect. The four things in life: death, disability, disease, or suddenly forced retirement. Would you agree these are the four things in life that can rob us of our income? What we call them the income robbers? Would you agree, Mr. Prospect? Yep, I suppose so. Now, Mr. Prospect, the one question that my clients ask me almost every day is, Gan, what can I do to make sure that regardless of what happens in life, me and my family will always stay at the level of financial independence? Now, Mr. Prospect, is that an important question for you as well? Well, I suppose so. And I share with them, Mr. Prospect, do you have this very important thing called the financial safeguard? Now, what is a financial safeguard? It is something that we have put in place to make sure that even if the income robbers comes knocking on the door, and your family can always stay at the financial independence that you have worked so hard for the family that you love so much for. Is that important, Mr. Prospect? Yeah. So, Mr. Prospect, can I share with you how I help my clients to provide a strong financial safeguard? Because before meeting my clients, almost all of them have some form of safeguards in place. They have some insurance, some EPF, some savings, and I'm sure you do have that as well. But they are not 100% sure whether these safeguards can do the job and make sure that their family will always stay at the level of independence regardless of what happens. Is that important for you? Shall we do that? Now, my lovely colleagues in the insurance industry, I want to ask you a very simple question. Today, if you were to share this idea to your clients and ask them for the permission to help them to review their safeguards using this concept, do you think you will get a yes? Do you think you will get a yes? Now, I'm telling you, this is the exact idea that I've been using for years, which my team has been using for years, and we are getting more yes, much more yes than a no. And when a client says a yes, you have successfully used a simple 5 minutes concept to open up the mind. You're right. A concept is not to sell an insurance. A powerful concept is where in 5 minutes you can open up the client's mind to continue further. Are you ready with your notes? Because I'm going to share with you 10 powerful questions after this concept on how to lead the clients to discover how much insurance he needs. So, Mr. Prospect, now, if you're overseas for a period of time, will you be sending money back home? Because you won't be going back for a long, long time, let's assume. Yes, I suppose I will be sending money back. And Mr. Prospect, how much money will we be sending back every month? Well, I think my family needs about 10,000, so I'll probably need to spend about 10,000 every month for the kids and my wife. Fantastic. And Mr. Prospect, how important is it for your family to have 10,000 every month? Can we go lower? Well, I don't suppose we can go lower. 10,000 should be the minimum. Okay, let me take a break from that. Why am I asking this question? Because many times we are telling the client, you need more insurance. And the client says, nah, you are just trying to sell me more insurance. What I'm trying to do here is to find the pain point. What is the level of income that is a must, M-U-S-T, must, that your wife and your children must have every month? Not coming from me saying you need more insurance, but coming from your wife sitting next to you, because your wife is going to say, hey, darling, I need the 10,000 a month, okay? Nothing less than that. Now, if that comes from the wife just becomes my agent selling the policy to the husband. Do you agree? So, idea number one, share this idea with the wife sitting next to the husband. Very powerful. Now, so let's say the wife convinced the husband, I need that 10,000 a month, not a single cent less, okay? And how long would we need this income? Well, I'm not sure. Now, people are not sure, so you got to give them some ideas. How old is your youngest child? Just born, just born. So, normally we will need to provide this income until your youngest child is financially independent, gets a job. Would you agree? Well, I suppose so. So, is 20 years sufficient from a newborn child to an adult? Okay, fair enough. So, simple mathematics, primary maths. If I take 10,000 a month times 12 months, which is 120K a year, times 20 years, that comes out to be 2.4 million. Now, Mr. Prospect, would that be right? That to provide this financial security for your family, in total we need 2.4 million over 20 years. Yep, I suppose. Okay, Mr. Prospect, the good news, if you have financial safeguards in place right now, you have got cash, EPF, insurance, and all this. So let's say something were to happen, God forbid, and your wife took out everything that you have worked hard for, how much would she have for the family? So we'll be running through policy reviews. Very important, okay? If you can successfully get a client to take out his policies, tell you how much cash he has in the bank, tell you how much EPF he has, I'll be surprised if you don't close the case, really, okay? Number 7 is half the case closed if you can get number 7 done. So after he has done all this work with you, you have established a very, very important key to closing. The client has trusted you. The client has trusted you. You have gotten the single most important element of sale, trust. And let's say if we add all this up, okay, Mr. Prospect, would you agree that regardless of what happens, your wife needs the home that she's staying now and the car she's driving now to pick the kids? Would you agree? We can't sell this off. The wife will agree, trust me. Okay, so we take that out. Let's say the shortfall, okay, is say 1 million or 500,000. And that's where I will do the test closed. Okay, I need to dig out some objections. Because I do not want to start closing the case and then I get objections. So I'll ask, Mr. Prospect, how important is it for your family to cover this shortfall of 500,000 or 1 million? Now, if she says it's important, okay, the sale is 70%. There's 30% left, okay. The closing question, Mr. Prospect, if we allocate a portion of your monthly surplus to safeguard your family's financial security, and at the same time, this money is working hard to save for your future retirement and your kids' education, would it make sense? And she says yes. You have got a 90% close. So I hope you love this first idea, and I'm going to move real fast to idea number 2. Are you ready? Now, idea number 2 is how can you get a client to commit long-term to a savings plan when he says, I want my money liquid and flexible. I will put it in the bank, even though interest is very low, I can get the money out easily. So this is a powerful idea, 5 minutes, and let's rock. Now, Mr. Prospects, there are three types of funds that we should put our money in. That's where me and my investors' clients park their money. The first is short-term funds, money that we need within the next 3 years. In short, we call this emergency fund, 紧急储备金. So where do you put emergency fund? You put it cash in the bank, you put it into fixed deposits, or if you're into unit trust, you put it into the money market. Why do we put money in this area? Because first, we need liquidity. If you need money, you can take it out anytime. We need capital guarantee because the banks are protected under the PIDM. But what is the consequence, the negative consequence of putting too much money in emergency fund? You are guaranteed, let me repeat, you are guaranteed to lose money over the long term because of inflation. Now, in Malaysia, the long-term inflation rate is about 3 to 4%. And if the FDs is giving you 2%, that means you are actually losing money over the long term by putting it for the next 5, 10, or 20 years. Would you agree, Mr. Prospect? That means we need to have some money in emergency fund, but we also need to have our money being protected. So, we suggest to have 6 months of reserves in emergency fund. Then what happens to the rest of your money? We should put some into medium term, which is into a wealth fund. That means if money that you plan to park for the next 3 to 10 years, put it into a wealth fund. You can invest in properties, shares, unit trust, gold. And the beauty of the wealth fund is that you can grow your money potentially. Why is it potentially? Because there is investment risk. We may lose our principal. Investments carry a risk, especially if you do leverage investment. That means you take 100,000 to buy a 1 million property, and you take a 900,000 loan. If the market collapses and you need to sell your property urgently, you will lose your principal and get into debt. That is going to be a very terrible day for everybody. So investments, wealth fund, grows your money, but it carries risk. So we suggest to have about 30% of your monthly surplus. That means, example, let's say if you can save 3,000 every month, probably 1,000 a month you can put into a wealth fund, okay, for long-term growth. Now, then what happens to the third part of the money? You need to, Mr. Prospect, seriously consider serious money. Let me repeat that. Mr. Prospect, my suggestion is that you should seriously consider serious money. Now, what is serious money? Serious money, we call 养老金. It is your retirement fund. It is your children's education fund when they grow up and they need to get a tertiary education. Now, would you agree, Mr. Prospect, when you are in your 60s and you retire, if we lose our retirement fund in a financial crisis, there's no way we can go back in time to earn back that money. Would you agree? Yep, I suppose so. And Mr. Prospect, your two beautiful kids, they are still very young today. One day when they grow up and it's time for them to go for their university education, can we tell them, darling, Papa invested your education fund in the stock market. Now it's COVID crisis, the market just crashed. Can you take a part-time job in KFC or McDonald's? When the market recovers, you can go for your tertiary education. Can you say that? No, I don't think we can do that, right? Because he will tell you, Papa, when I was a small child, you asked me to study hard. I study hard. Now, I got the allocation to go overseas for my dream degree. How can you say this to me? Guaranteed 100% at night, Papa and Mama cannot sleep. Correct or not? Even sell the house, sell the car, also must find the money. So would you agree, Mr. Prospect, if education fund is important, there are only two ways we can do it. First is we find the money, a lump sum of money, when it's time for your kids to go overseas, or we start saving now when they are still young. Which do you think makes more sense? Finding a lump sum, 500,000, 1 million, or that we start now when they are still young? I think the second option will make more sense. Would you agree? But if you were to do serious money, there are two important principles. First, the principle must be protected because we cannot afford to lose the principle when your child is going for uni. Would you agree? Yep. And we need to have decent long-term returns, 4 or 5%. So, Mr. Prospect, that's how I'll do the pre-close. Two important questions. First question, how much is your monthly surplus? 3,000 a month. Question number 2, how will you allocate your monthly surplus between short-term, medium-term, and serious money? Now, that is the question where the client gives you the premium, gives you the budget. So if it says 1,000 into medium term, 1,000 into serious money, you just got 2,000 premium as your budget. You know your plans, you know how to do it, and that's how we get the clients to invest long-term with us. I hope and I believe you love idea number 2 because I'm going to go straight into idea number 3, business owner insurance. Now, let's say I'm talking to 2 business owners, Peter and John. They are running a successful business, making good income even during COVID, and they each equally own the business. That's how I will start the conversation. Now, Peter and John, Tauke, can I share with you this idea called the business will concept? Have you all written a will for your business? I thought will is for a person. Business can write will one, man. So guaranteed, they have not heard of business will. Agree? Now, when you ask something that the client have never heard before, you just got yourself an appointment. Okay. So that's how we start the ball rolling. Now, Peter and John Tauke, okay, these are the 2 shareholders. May I ask, what is the value of your business? Meaning that if you were to sell your business today, okay, someone knocks on the door and say, I love your business, I want to buy your business. How much would you want to sell your business for? Well, of course, people will say higher the better, correct or not? So let's say he says 2 million. Okay. How 2 million comes about? Don't care. He said 2 million, that's his figure. Fine, 2 million. Fantastic. Oh, Peter and John, Tauke, you are a millionaire because your business value itself is worth millions. Fantastic. And Peter and John, I believe you are both happily married with beautiful wife and kids. Yep, you are both married. So I'll ask Peter and John. Now, Peter and John, if you are no longer around one day, what will happen to your shares? Whether they have written a will or whether they have written no will, the answer is going to go to their wife and children. Because I have not met a business owner who says that when he dies, his shares is going to go to his father or go to his uncle, correct? It all goes to the family, right? So yeah, I think it will go to my wife or kids. So that's the standard answer, okay? Now, and that's why I'll look at Peter. Now, Mr. Peter, if John passed away, in John's will, he says that his shares is going to his wife. That means you just got yourself a new business partner, Mr. John's wife, who is a housewife. So, Mr. Peter, would you love and be happy going into business with Mr. John's wife? Now, I would like to ask you this question, okay? If today your clients who are running a business, do you think they'll be happy going into business with their partner's wife who is a housewife? Or their partner's child who just graduated from don't know which uni? Or young chiku coming to work. I am a business owner. Answer is no law, correct? Now, and I'll look back at John. John, if anything happens to you, and Peter, your lovely partner, does not want to go into business with your wife and your children, what would you rather your wife and children have? Now, what do you think John will say? That if he passed away, he just goes to his wife comes to the office and quarrel with Peter over money. Peter not happy. The wife also not happy. Everybody not happy. What do you think the wife would rather have? The business or money? Let me ask you. Today, do you think you want a business with problems or you want cash in the bank? Answer is cash law, correct? And Peter, would that be the same for you as well? That if you were to pass away, your wife going to the business would have issue with John, and your wife also prefer to have cash. So it is the same problem for both. But Peter and John, would you agree that right now this is not happening? Yep. Okay. So now, what can we do about this? Is that if something would happen to either of you right now, the business is going to have problems, we are going to have rigid problems, because you will end up with business partners that you can't work with. Okay? And given a choice, your wives and your children would rather have the cash. So is there a problem? Now, there is a problem. So what am I doing for the past 5 minutes? Is that I am selling a problem. I am not selling any insurance product. I'm not even giving any solutions. I am selling a problem. So, my dear colleagues, okay, in our insurance industry, our job is in the first interview. How can you disturb the mind and solve a problem? Because when there is an urgent problem, you are then very valuable, because he who can create a problem will naturally have the solution. Okay. So let's talk about the solution. Okay. Now, Peter and John, your business is worth 2 million. If the revenue dropped by 1 or 2%, would that be catastrophic? Would your business shut down because the business dropped by 1 or 2%? Answer is no. The business can still continue. So I just found the premium. The premium is 1 to 2% of your business revenue. So there's actually a very easy way to solve this problem, Peter and John. Okay? Now, John, if you're not more around, your wife wants the cash, and Peter wants the business. So what we just do is we just create a buy-sell agreement. That means I will just insure both you, Peter and John, for 1 million each. The business can pay the premium, okay, because the business can take a 1 to 2% cut in their revenue. It will not hurt the business. But what it does is it helps to solve a big problem. Because Peter or John, if any of you were to die first, your wife will get the 1 million cash, and the other business partner will have 100% of the business to run. Everybody is happy. Would you agree? Well, so what have you got here? You have, in a 30 minutes to maximum 1 hour session, open up a 2 million policy. So with this, I hope you enjoyed today's session. If you love the session, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you at MDRT convention next year. Take care. God bless.